Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the HamCorp training manual. In this episode, we set up all the Nether processing lines. Yep, all of them. Enjoy! Just found my first cryostone, which means I can now duplicate it, which is great. This is the other Nether stone that I needed to get. I got brimstone last time. This time I decided to just quickly get the cryostone because I need it for progression. I don't know if I'm going to need it immediately or not, but we'll see. I did take a look at these processing lines, and the Infernal concentrate one actually is not totally doable for me at the moment. Like the substellar Infernal concentrate, for example. There's basically only one way to make some. There's two recipes, but this is kind of a partial recycling loop, so this one's not really useful to look at. The injection mixing recipe needs borealic concentrate, which needs a Mark IV fusion reactor, which I don't have. It needs the full UIV circuit line to be done before I can make this, so this processing line is actually, for now, much shorter than it seems. I can basically just do this step, this step, this step, and this step, and that's it. So we'll do that. And the bulk of the episode is going to be spent doing the rest of it. There are 6 new ingots to make. There's mithril, adamantine, estalt, enriched estalt, isovol, and calamatium. Along the way, I'll also get my hands on some atomic nether sludge dust as a byproduct. This stuff gets processed into seaborgium, polonium, flerovium, astatine, and hafnium. This entire top half of this page is gonna get done really soon. Let me get home first. Alright, we're back. Let me quickly cover exactly what I'm gonna do with this Infernal concentrate. First of all, the crude Infernal concentrate gets cyclonically sifted with ancient netherite reinforced meshes. These have a chance of consumption, so I'm going to be level maintaining them, and this makes Infernal concentrate. Infernal concentrate gets heat chambered into superheated Infernal concentrate with some Utopian aquarium. I can make the better version of the heat chamber now, which is much smaller and basically has throughput boosting. That's pretty much the only benefit over the normal heat chamber. Besides that, it is exactly the same. The superheated concentrate gets sent to a pressure heat chamber, or a super pressure heat chamber, to be turned into flame-wake solvent. This stuff has a ton of uses. Every single step of this Infernal concentrate processing seems to have a ton of uses, so part of me is thinking of patterning and level maintaining, because then I can use the intermediate steps for other things too, but I don't know, maybe. We'll see. Flame-wake solvent is used for crafting the Hellforge and the Heart of the Flame. You can also destabilize it to get superheated Infernal concentrate back a little bit. Infernal concentrate as well, and cinder brew solvent, which is like a upgraded version of flame-wake solvent. Cinder brew solvent is used in the Hellforge. I don't know how this works yet, but that's where it gets used, I guess. I don't know. I don't see any other use case. But it seems like some kind of upgraded fuel, basically. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure whether or not I just want to level maintain this, but I am leaning towards it. Just because every single one of these intermediate products has multiple uses, so okay, you're watching me decide in real time that I am going to be level maintaining this and patterning it. So no dedicated setup, but I gotta build some machines anyway. Oh, wait a minute, this very first step doesn't need to be patterned because this is the only use of crude Infernal concentrate. Okay, so I'm gonna passive the production of Infernal concentrate and then everything else is just gonna be patterned. Oh, I'm also gonna make the super compact heat chamber. The only reason I couldn't make it until now is because I needed ancient netherite plates. So I have those. Everything else is pretty trivial at this point. I will get that going, and I will probably replace all of my heat chambers because they're just worse. So there's no reason to keep them. Look at this cute little guy. And look at this wall share. It's not a particularly amazing wall share or anything, but it's just nice. It just kind of tiles it nicely. It's cute. I like it. While this is pretty awesome, it cannot be shared upside down because the muffler here, look at what's underneath, right? It's a solid block. So technically, the structure requires an air block here, so it can't be shared by flipping it and putting a copy upside down. I wish it could. That would be so sick. Now I'm gonna get this cinder brew done, and then I'll make a flowchart for everything else. And here's the cinder brew solvent. Still not totally sure what it's used for. Okay, I'm just in the middle of making the flowchart for this line, and it's a lot of repetition, so I kind of don't want to do it. It's also not as satisfying as Utopian Aquarium. There's mostly partial refunds, so it's not as clean and nice. So I kind of don't want to finish this. Because of the partial refunds, it's kind of easier for me to just set up the machines and let it go. They all kind of follow the same pattern, basically. You start with cyclonic sifting, and then you get a bunch of dusts and some mystical nether magma. The dusts are polarized and turn into activated nether dust, which is used later on. As for the mystical nether magma, this gets molten destabilized into 3 different roots, and each of these roots is more or less identical. So you cyclonic sift it again to get a bunch of fluids. This one has further processing, the enriched X mixture, where X is mithrilic, adamantomite, or estaltadine. This goes into a heat chamber along with the activated nether dust. I haven't drawn that here, but that makes the atomic sludge dust, which we need for the other lines. And the other 2 products, the mystical nether magma is what went in at the very beginning over here. So it's a partial refund. And the molten mixture gets destabilized again. This makes more highly unstable nether magma, partial refund. A bunch of netherrack dust, but who cares about that? Some liquid X fluid, where X is, you know. And also some molten ore mixture. The liquid gets electrolyzed into the dust, along with small piles of dust, and mystical nether magma. For the adamantomite and mithrilic, that's kind of the end. You get the dust, and then you can process it a bit more into ingots, but it's nothing interesting. But the estaltadine is a little unique. The estaltadine mixture heat chamber recipe is not exactly like the others. These ones are 100 millibuckets plus 1 small pile. The estaltadine is this. For the mithrilic and adamantomite, the mixture is destabilized, like I mentioned, but for the estaltadine, it's not. It's actually electrolyzed into enriched estalt dust and enriched mystical concentrate. This gets recycled again, which is fine, but this is how you get the enriched estalt dust. That can be blasted, and that's that. So it's basically that the molten estaltadine mixture has the estalt, and the enriched estaltadine mixture has the enriched estalt, which, you know, makes sense. So I'm just going to set this up. I don't think it's actually going to be quite as satisfying as Aquarium, but I'll get it going. Stage 1 of the nether line done. That is up to the first dusts here. So the enriched estalt dust is pretty straightforward, I just blast it. But the other ones, they all need a layered recipe in the advanced synthesis plant. And I'm wondering whether to pattern that, probably not, or just kind of do it passively over here. And I think I'm going to do it passively. That way there's no chance of clogging or conflicts or anything, and should be a lot easier to kind of program with redstone. So I'll set that up. And then the rest of the processing is pretty chill, pretty straightforward. It's typically just a LCR recipe like this in all 3 cases. Well, in the mithrilic one, it's a blasting recipe, so that's fine too. Maybe it even makes some sense to store the hydride dusts, hydride, and hydroxide, pattern the rest of it, because then I can use my big arrays of machines instead of relying on this slow passive thing. Or I could do both, I don't know. But that will finish up mithril, adamantine, estalt, and enriched estalt. Estalt, though, can be processed further by combining it with fluoroantimonic acid. So I can blast it, of course, or I can vacuum chemical reaction chamber it into calamatium and isobol. This could be patterned. It's relatively chill. It's just an LCR, 2 centrifuge recipes, probably some recycling into fluoroantimonic. I don't know, I didn't look too closely. But this is pretty chill, pretty easy. Should be pretty quick, even in on-demand recipes. That will get me all the way to isobol and calamatium, and then that's the first half of the nether line. The other half relies on atomic nether sludge dust. This needs hexafluorobromic acid, which, as the name implies, and the formula, I'm gonna need bromine, which means finally, this processing line that's been available since literally forever ago is required. I finally need to do this to get my bromine. So I'll do that after this first half of the nether line is done. Just quickly want to talk about the automation here for these ASPs, because it's ever so slightly different than the on-demand ones. Barely different. I don't have that bizarre cell cycling thing because there's no craft request to complete. So instead, I just have the bus converter as usual, and then the toggle buses as usual, so it cycles between them. And basically, I just have filtered each of the steps. And that's basically it. As this progresses, it'll cycle which one of these subsets of items the machine can see, and it'll just keep going. So it's actually a lot simpler than the automation, or the on-demand automation, The passive one is way easier. Yeah, I decided to pattern the full isovol and calamatium because it's really simple. I didn't feel the need to passive this. So, these are done. Everything's been blasted to ingot form as well, so that's done as well. Which means it's time for bromine. I need some space to do the whole bromine processing, and I'm gonna use this as an excuse to kind of clean up the passive processes area. There's a bunch of machines here that don't really do anything anymore, or they've been superseded by new machines or new processing routes. So I'm gonna do a pass through all of these machines and remove everything that's kind of useless now. I imagine there will actually be quite a lot that's useless now. Oh boy, I cleaned up a lot of space. That's nice. You'll even notice the entire debris line is gone, because now that I have the Nether with the debris-rich magma, debris is free. So I just didn't need it. That's kind of crazy, right? One thing that remains is my deep slate processing. This does not scale anymore. This is max speed. Everything is 1 ticking or 2 ticking or 3 ticking, and it's not going to go any faster than this. This is my main magnesium source, and I'm out of magnesium, so I need to fix that. I learned of the deep slate pebble recipe from the maintainer boys on the HamCorp Discord, so I will be using this because this is kind of insane. So I make a ton of pebbles, compress them, and then it's basically the regular deep slate line from then on. But the reason I need to do this is because the large rock crusher surprisingly doesn't have an upgraded variant. This is the best rock crusher in the game, which is insane because it sucks. Well, it sucks at this point in the game. But yeah, I have to redo my deep slate line, so that's something. I also kind of want to redo my obsidian line, or it's not a line, it's just one machine. I either want to redo this, which I don't think I will, or I'm just going to pattern a recipe for making obsidian from lava, because there's a solidification recipe that's just 1 bucket of lava equals 1 obsidian, so I'll probably do that. I have been using my obsidian to supplement my magnesium supply, because I am basically out, which is a big issue because argon plasma is going down. I'm actually about to run out like right now, so I gotta get on this. So I'm gonna fix that, and after that I'll do the whole bromine thing probably right here. Real quick before I show you bromine, I need a little more power, so I'm gonna place down 2 more SPTs. But there's something very important that I've just unlocked for these. Coolant boosting, super state helium 3. Remember this stuff? I said I need a cryostate quantum chiller to make it. Guess what I have now? That's right, with isovol and calamatium, I can make this now. Because if you remember, this means it's a plus 75% EU per tick output. I currently have the plus 25% from the lubricant, so the boost is gonna get quadrupled. So my total EU per tick is gonna increase by a factor of 1.6. So it's like basically getting 50% more SPTs for free, which is awesome. But wiring up these active transformers is kind of annoying, so maybe it's time for me to finally set up something that I've been putting off for no good reason. Dreamlinks. This is wireless transfer of power, but I'm gonna have to start using these Dreamlink nodes basically everywhere. Which I sort of need to do because this buffer is not really big enough, so I kind of want to make a giant LSC to store all my power. And also, as it says here in the quest, after UEV, there's no more converters, so I'm gonna have to use them eventually. Now, I don't know how they work. I don't think they're just like a trivial wireless solution like how it is on GTNH. There's like a range and stuff and a config device. I don't know. I gotta look into this, but that is something I want to do. But mainly I just wanted to bring up that I have superstate helium now, so I'm gonna get more power pretty easily. Anyway, bromine. Here's bromine. Pretty chill actually. 4 LCRs and 3 other machines. Not too bad. There are some weird loops here, some surprising loops where I sort of just profit intermediate products kind of randomly, and I don't really like that. But I decided to just trash them. I'm gonna trash the hot alkaline debrominated brine because I just don't feel like processing it because it's so much more thinking and effort for not that much reward. Anyway, this is pretty fast. I've already got quite a bit of bromine, 64 buckets. This has been on for like less than a minute, and cool, that's bromine. And here is the atomic sludge dust line. It's actually pretty short and not too difficult. It does have another layered setup. These are sort of annoying to set up because the copy paste gadget doesn't copy and paste the cables, so I have to wire them up manually every single time, which is a bit tedious, but this is done. This is going. The main bottleneck is actually the ECRs, which is really funny to me. But the processing line is pretty simple. I basically make hexafluorobromic acid from fluorine gas and bromine gas. There's also cesium fluoride in the mix that gets recycled fully, so I just handle it with these two input and output buses, so I don't have to think about it. Hexafluorobromic acid is combined with atomic nether sludge dust to get palladium-rich sludge dust, hafnistide-rich sludge dust, and flerovium-rich Re sludge dust. Re here is rare earth. So I get a little bit of rare earth out of this, but the main thing is the flerovium tetrafluoride. This can be blasted into flerovium ingots. The palladium, or I guess it's kind of combining the names, so it's palladium, I guess. This dust is converted into seaborgium dioxide and polonium carbonate. Seaborgium dioxide is just blasted as usual to get seaborgium ingots. Same thing with the polonium carbonate, but the problem here is it's a UIV recipe, so I need 2 UEV energy hatches. So I can't actually do this recipe yet, but I do have the dust. The hafnistide rich is converted to sodium acetatide and hafnium hexachloride. Hafnium hexachloride, blasted as usual, I get hafnium. Sodium acetatide goes in an LCR with nitrogen dioxide to get astatine dust. And some sodium nitrite, which I believe is useless. Yeah, so this just gets recycled. And that's basically everything. That's all of the nether lines. It's done. We're all done. Wow. That was a bit quicker than I thought. Now that these are done, quite a bit has opened up to me. So there are 3 multi-blocks I can make. One of them is locked, but I'll tell you about that. First of all, the cryostate quantum chiller. I mentioned this a few minutes ago for making superstate helium, but it's also just a vacuum freezer, and it's the best vacuum freezer in the game. There is no better vacuum freezer. Would be pretty nice to have. Doesn't look too expensive. The void frames kind of suck because I still only have the 1 nuclear reactor. Besides that, there's reinforced cryostone casings and sub-zero casings. These are both new. The scan is a bulk blast chiller, and the assembly line process is pretty chill. It just needs isobol, calamatium, and that's it. The reinforced cryostone needs a ton of cryostone, so I need to set up exotic rock crushing with the exotic tectonic formation apparatus. This should be pretty easy to do though. I just need to actually go and do it. This thing needs a UV rock crusher scan, and making it, I don't think actually needs anything new, but it's just useless until now, so there's no reason to make it. Besides that, all the items are pretty easy to get. So I'll set these up as passive processes. Meanwhile, the sub-zero casings are void frames, pure netherite, and aluminium, so not so bad. That's the CQC. I also get the Hellforge. This, I believe, has an automation challenge. Finally, yes, I love that. To make this, I need a Heart of the Flame. This needs a Husk of the Flame scan, which I'm currently doing. And I need some flame wick solvent, quite a bit, 500 buckets, netherite, ancient netherite, 2 hellish cores, and a husk brick. This is made with ancient netherite and an extreme temperature smelting casing, which is calamatium, astatium biosilex carbonite plate, I'm gonna have to look at that, and enriched asphalt. This crazy compound is an ABS recipe, of course. It's actually not that crazy. It just needs some astatine and I think selenium. I don't know if I have selenium. Oh, I must, because I have KitKite, so should be fine. The Hellforge itself, cool looking multi-block. It's like a little hand at the top. That's kind of awesome. Needs Astronalloy NX. Needs reinforced brimstone casings. Needs extreme temperature smelting casings, which I mentioned already. Stabilization inscribed, runically inscribed casings, which is what were used for the ancient dial home device. A Heart of the Flame, signalum glass, and shellite glass, which are fine. The controller itself needs calamatium and isobol and flame wick solvent. Scans a Heart of the Flame. I don't remember if I mentioned that. Astronalloy NX, though, needs actually nothing special. Pretty basic stuff. And the reinforced brimstone is, of course, compressed brimstone, so I gotta set up the exotic rock crushing like I mentioned before. That's the Hellforge. The Hellforge has its own automation challenge, which I'll have to take a closer look at, but the CQC doesn't. CQC is basic. You just put the items in, you get the items out. That will allow me to progress, but before that, I also wanted to make some hams because HamCorp. The Hellfire Alloy Materializer. It's locked because I'm missing one thing that I need for this. But let's take a look at the structure really quick first. Scans a cat. You scan a cat to get a ham. That's so like, was this made for me? This is crazy. The controller needs liquid poly-3,4-ethylene dioxythiophene polystyrene sulfate, which is the reason the quest is locked, because I don't have any of that yet. It also needs calamatium and ancient netherite. And that's kind of the only new things here. For the structure, new stuff includes enriched assault, the reinforced brimstone casings, extreme temperature casings, and that's it. The hard part is this thing, the poly-3,4-ethylene dioxythiophene polystyrene sulfate. I'm not going to say that every single time. I'm going to call that PSS because it says PSS here. So this stuff is a full processing line, including a layered step, but I'm going to pattern this because this looks like too much work, basically. There's 2 layered steps though, so I might have to passive one of them because my layered automation doesn't like nested layered steps. So yeah, this one of these steps is gonna have to be automated. I will decide which in a sec, I guess. Ah, fuck it, let's just make it passive. While I do that, I'm gonna craft up the other stuff. I've already scanned the husk of the flame to get the heart of the flame scan. I got my BBC and DNA. Yo, pause. I got my Hellfire alloy materializer scan, and I'll get all the other stuff crafting in the background while I set this up. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will set up the poly-3,4-ethylene dioxythiophene polystyrene sulfate line and craft the first of likely many Hellforges, cryostate quantum chillers, and Hellfire alloy materializers. We may even progress into UEV properly. See you next time.